Hi, I'm JoyGenea, and welcome to If These Heels Could Talk.
And I'm Michelle with Bad Cat Digital. And before we go any further, who are you with, JoyGenea?
Oh, yeah. My company is Solutions by JoyGenea.
There we go. Today, we are thrilled to be talking to
Miss Kerri. Oh, honey, I'm not even going to try and say that last name.
Schwegel?
Schwegel?
Schwegel.
Kerri Schwegel from...
Nailed it.
Nice job. From VREC, Veteran Resource and Enrichment Center.
That's exciting.
A little bit about Kerri.
Yeah.
Before we dive in, she was born and raised on a dairy farm in Foley. So this is my kind of gal. And then moved to Central California and joined the United States Air Force. After high school, she served her military career in special operations, deploying for Operation Desert Storm, Iraq, and Enduring Freedom.
Wow.
I know, that's what I mean.
Thank you for your service, Kerri.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Oh. And so much more. She retired in 2006. If you want to call this retirement, after 20 years with a business management bachelor's degree and a communications technology degree.
Oh my God, I'm already exhausted.
I know. In 2010, she ended up back in Foley. You know how the universe sucks you back home.
You back in.
Yep. And she worked for the St. Cloud VA healthcare system, helping veterans get enrolled and learning about their benefits. She also worked for the VA home loan program. So she knows it. Right.
Yeah.
So this girl has over 30.
Navigating government systems.
She has over 30 years with the federal government.
Yes.
Which is quite impressive.
Yes.
She also stood up and was chair of the Lady Veterans Boutique for the St. Cloud Stand Down, which brought an overdue clothing service for lady veterans. And that's part of where the percolating and inspiring, and I'm not going to share too much more about that, but in August 26th of 2021, Veterans Resource and Enrichment Center was officially opened. It was thought of and conceived before then, and she will explain exactly what that is and what they offer. So,
awesome.
Kerri, welcome. But before we dive totally in, Michelle has our favorite question.
Yeah. What's your favorite kind of shoe?
Well, it has to be pretty obvious to me, combat boots or some sort of boots. So I really like the Ariat boots. So
nice.
It's not just any combat boots. It's the boots that can fit your orthotics.
Orthotics, that's right.
Yes.
Absolutely. As combat veterans, we're a little wounded, so we need a little support.
Well, and I've put my foot in a military boot just once, and I got to tell you, that thing was not built for everybody's foot. So I totally can see the orthotic.
It'd be really interesting to know who, you know what? I'm not going to go off.
Yeah,
on
don't
tangent.
go that far.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Kerri. We're really excited. And JoyGenea is going to ask you the first actual question that we have.
Okay. Diving in, like I said, I know a little bit about your story, a little bit more than even the bio gave, but I would tell us a little bit more about how VREC came about and what exactly the Veterans Recreation Resource and Enrichment Center is.
So first off, I'll just say that, VREC is a very unique experience for both the veteran and the family member. We offer this kind-hearted advocacy transition management. So I know that's a mouthful, but really we're trying to enhance their well-being. We're trying to bridge the gap in the community, bring resources and community partners together, and really walk that walk with the veteran and their family member to help them heal through some sort of recovery. So how this all came about was, as I'm dealing with these veterans over the past 30 some years, family members, my family was always there to support me when I deployed. I mean, I went to the Middle East 7 times alone.
Wow.
That's a lot of times to be away. In my 20-year career, I was gone over 3/4 of the time. I mean, I was constantly on the road. But that was where my job, I was military intelligence, for the Air Force. And that's where our job was. So you start to build this camaraderie with people when you were in the military. And when you get out, you miss it. You get out and you might be injured. You might not be the same person you once were. You can't run that 5 miles anymore. You can't go out there and do the same things that, 50 push-ups, 500, whatever setup. You can't, high pace environment like we used to do. So we're changed a little bit when we get out. We have some combat experiences perhaps, or maybe we don't have combat experiences and we're regretting that we don't. So a lot of people look at those who are combat as, yes, they have some mental health, But what about those who wanted to go but couldn't? That it wasn't their signing. It wasn't where they weren't at the place where Uncle Sam said, you need to go at this point. It doesn't mean that they're not still hurting or don't have some mental anguish because they didn't sacrifice anything for that family. So, but the family was always there. And so when you're looking at all these veteran programs in the community, the majority of them are geared to the veteran specifically. And there's not a lot for the family member to get that support. There's some caregiver support, but there's not a place for the family to go. And so really what VREC was created was really based off of building that camaraderie. You know, the boutique, I could give really pretty clothing, make people look beautiful. They felt good for that moment. I could take a snapshot picture and I could send it home with them and say, look at this every time you're feeling down. But they had no place to go when they were feeling down. So this was built so that now they had a place to come. They had other veterans and family members they could come to and really relax in an atmosphere. And whether it's enrichment is a big thing, whether it's doing a craft, whether it's sitting and having coffee with somebody, whether it's going back to the sewing room, maybe doing a woodcraft. Like now they're working on birdhouses. It might be now going to shoot a game of pool or playing some darts in a sober, comfortable environment that's not in a bar scene because you're going down that recovery path.
Sure.
So really trying to find where you fit in and reinvigorating and energizing your purpose. Finding a new purpose is really one of the biggest things, and a safe place for both the veteran and the family to come to on a daily basis.
That's super cool. What a great organization for the community to have.
It really is. And that's kind of what, obviously, that's why.
That's why we're having Kerri. Okay.
And I'll also point out, so what brought me, or why I looked into it further, I do come from a veteran family. I am the daughter of a veteran. And with his passing in the last year, I've just found myself needing support in my grief. And I've talked about that and recognizing that because he was a veteran, he was a little different. And and the reality was he had severe PTSD from being a Vietnam veteran. And so what I found, though, is this wasn't a conversation I could just have with everybody about his life and his journey. And I was floundering. You watched me for a little while.
Yeah.
And yes, luckily, somebody brought me to TAPS, which is a different organization we'll talk about. And that got me looking more into that Veterans Avenue. And so then, and I heard about, she had literally just started in August. And, and I heard about it. And I went, I so understand that, because as family members, my father was struggling with this. Right. But we were alone.
Right.
Like, there wasn't anything to support us. There wasn't a community to go to. There wasn't a place where I could sit around a table with other teenagers whose parents might be similar. And you know what I mean? And just make a puzzle or whatever. It wasn't a place for my mom to go to have some conversations. Like, it was really.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's an acknowledgement of, because there are grief and support groups for families of people who have chronic illnesses. There are support groups for, and there's whole advocacy groups for people whose family members are gay or lesbian or, somewhere else in the fabulous alphabet mafia.
Right.
And so it makes total sense. Is this a unique program
It is very unique because it's really kind of that step beyond. Going to the VA healthcare is great. You go to a group, you go to group segments, you go to occupational therapy, you go to mental health therapy groups. That's a group. You may go for 6 weeks. You go with a group of people, but where do you go after that 1 hour is over? Or where do you go after that 6 weeks? What do you do the rest of the week, the rest of the time?
Yeah. And where does your family go?
And where does your family go to help get that support with you? And where do you go all together? We could bring family into this.
But is VREC, is this concept unique to this area? Do you know of any other organizations that do something even similar in other places?
I don't know of other places that have a daily place that you can come. There's a lot of places you can go for resources, which we have the resource aspect of this too, but that's just kind of one small piece of it. And it's really bringing in this other enrichment part that you can come on a daily basis. There's vet centers that do work for the combat veteran. again, combat veteran, maybe the family with that combat veteran, but where does the guy that fits or the gal that slips through the cracks and
Yeah. Where does it, I mean, not all veterans are combat veterans.
no,
Right.
no.
Yeah.
Not all veterans serve the Minnesota statute of what a veteran is, meaning they may not had, 2 years worth of service. They may not have had their 90 days. They only may have been in for training, but then they got injured. Those people fall through the cracks. And that's where we find the homelessness and other issues coming up.
Interesting. I
Well,
had
and
no idea.
what about the subcontractors? What about the people that were subcontracted to be paid soldiers, not in the military, and went over to deployments and so forth? They come home. What,
Wow. I had no
that's what
idea.
I mean. It's very
Wow.
interesting how
We actually
I am
have
learning so much today. Thank you both.
yeah, we actually have a gentleman who was a subcontractor. He was a construction worker and went to Afghanistan and was a big part of that push there, working with the military, with the Army, and is suffering the same sort of anguish. And he is a military family member as well. So he's getting services here and coming in through his enrichment. But that's one of the things that it's just an unknown temperament of it. And then another thing that we're really doing is advocating for the lady veteran, because the community message needs to come out that women served in the military, and thus our Rosie the Riveter, you might see behind me, symbol is to really take it all the way back to World War II, where women supported that war front effort. And granted, she wasn't in the military, but they still supported it. And now many ladies are finally coming forward saying that they served, because they're starting to get recognized and acknowledged as a veteran, not a female veteran, not a female soldier, but as a veteran.
Sure. A veteran.
Like call your
Point blank.
Part.
Yeah.
Isn't that nice? Yeah. There's one story that Kerri's told, and she can expand on this, that really, I think, demonstrates something. When you're driving along and you see a homeless person and he's holding a sign and it says, I'm a vet and I'm homeless. Well, that was one of Kerri's first, that was one of the first things that they worked on, was actually helping one of those people.
Wow.
Move from, and it's not, she can explain, it is not an easy process.
No.
And the amount of paperwork that they would be expected to fill out to get access to the services.
Well, and then you add on top of it just what anybody who's homeless experiences.
Right.
A lot of times people might lose their identification, and then they have to jump through a ton of hoops to get that back and pay money. Like you have to, like the money $30 the $30 for your driver's license is no joke when you're homeless.
Yeah.
And
what you find too is
about that.
In some other resources too, there's not a very good follow-up process. And so we really try to strive on that follow-up and follow through. So, I've worked with some of the veterans I'm working with now in the past, but I was able to give them clothing or give them some sort of resource, but not able to follow through their entire journey with them, to go through different aspects to then check back. So, like what you were talking about with this homeless veteran he was homeless for over 10 years.
Wow.
Over 10 years, and we got him housed. And I was with him this morning at a medical appointment, advocating for him with his medical provider, because there are some issues there with just dealing with some of the medical issues he has. So still after, it's not like 1 week, boom, house him and he's done. It's, 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, a year out, really still dealing with that person, and get him in the house and get him furniture and get him supplies and get him life skills to go along with that.
You don't what I've learned kind of hanging around that VREC and so forth in the stories and stuff. I have never thought about how simplified life is when you're homeless, if that makes sense. It's down. So to assist someone transitioning up a few notches from that, it's not just the logistics of the paperwork and stuff. There's a point. Okay. So to get these certain services, you have to show up for appointments. How exactly does a person get to those appointments? Who makes sure that they're able to get to those appointments? Right. And, as they're pushing through probably some mental health struggles and so forth. It's really demonstrated all the layers that get pushed aside once you're at that place, and then need to be added back in to lift someone back up. And that's really what they are helping to provide there.
Exactly.
In a very nurturing environment. Kerri, what are some recent concerns that you're seeing coming up for veterans in the community?
So we just touched on that. Homelessness is really one of them. And it's not, like we said, not just the homelessness, but maybe moving. Maybe they first got placed into some sort of housing, but now they're transitioning into their next phase of their life. So we think about homelessness in the fact of, you're living on the streets, you don't have anything. But what about when you're transitioning to the next phase, that moving piece? So it's moving people, moving furniture, moving items, moving resources, moving county benefits. Those are all big barriers for a veteran who is already overwhelmed because of their mental illness or just what life throws at them at some point, that challenges with that. So that's really a big struggle. And so that moving transportation piece, what I'm finding is one of the largest gaps among the veterans and their family is, how do you get from point A to point B? The DAV the Disabled American Veterans do a great job of transporting a veteran in most areas to their VA medical appointment.
Okay.
But who gets them to the food shelf?
Right.
Who gets them to the pharmacy or to the grocery store to get the rest of the food, or to get their enrichment type things, like coming to see places like me or other resources?
Or even just to go to the library, just to get out of the house.
Yeah. Go to a movie or go to do anything to help them improve their well-being type in life, or go to the gym so they can work out. Things that we don't even think about and we take for granted in our everyday lives that they just don't have an opportunity to do.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. How do you pay for this? That's what comes to mind. I don't think this drops out of the sky.
I mean, do you just pay for this?
Yes, this is just your funds.
Wow. Yeah. So generous.
With time and
all volunteer for, so none of us get paid. We do a lot of work for a very little. What our payment is the gratification and the loving rewards we get back of what we're doing to help these folks out. But how do we pay for it? We pay for it through generous donations through the community. So when we're looking at the moving piece, we're looking at the furniture. There's a lot of people that are getting rid of furniture that are very, very generous of donating that to a veteran or veteran's family or household supplies. And we look at that as, we don't have storage to place it in a storage facility. Well, you want to donate something like that, we'll take a picture, we'll put it on a list. We'll try to place it with the veteran or family member, and then pick and place kind of type of deal. So it's not sitting.
It's a really good way to do that. It's hard to store all of that stuff.
You can't.
But that's a problem. That's a problem that have I'm on the board for Anna Marie's Alliance, and that's a problem that they have because in transition, women and children because that's, we all know that intimate partner violence impacts more than cisgendered women, but they really focus on working with women and women and children who are, in transition back into new housing. They don't have anything, but Anna Marie says no place to store it. That's brilliant. That's a brilliant concept of having a list and having pictures and saying, okay, well, we'll accept it, but you need to store it until I can find a home for it.
Yep. And how long are you willing to store it?
And how long
are you willing to hold this?
Yeah.
And those are the questions that we ask the donor at the time. And if they need to get rid of it prior to that, we greatly thank them. And then we just have to move on to the next level, because there's got to be a point that we both have to agree to move forward. But we've been very, very successful. I would probably, if I were to throw a number out there, I would say we've placed over $10,000 worth of furniture since August. And it's probably more so than that if you're looking at a true dollar value of it. But that's a very expensive piece. And that takes a lot of volunteer time and transportation with gas coming, being higher. It's volunteer time, volunteer traffic. It's their vehicles, possibly sometimes renting a U-Haul truck, or we're looking now at how do you hire a moving company, things like that can move pieces quicker, faster.
Where are you located?
We are in St. Cloud on 501 17th Avenue North. over by the railroad tracks.
Yeah, it's this little tiny sliver past our old office.
Really?
Yeah, like
so you're kind
the-
of close to downtown and the east side. Is that
correct? Yep, we're
Yes.
just
okay? Yeah, I don't know addresses. I'm not in military intelligence. I didn't grow up around here, so I am like, where are you in relationship to Val's Hamburgers?
So you know where Cooper Avenue is?
East.
Yes,
We're 1 block east of Cooper.
perfect. That was helpful.
On
Thank
the
you.
north side of 3rd Street.
That's awesome. Okay, that's good to know.
And I'm just going to add to how they create funds. Another thing, they have do you call it a boutique? What do you call the?
Yes, it's Rosie's Boutique. And so
I have seen the signs for that.
Yes,
yeah,
they have
so Rosie's Boutique is basically it's the veterans and family that started this out. It wasn't even a creation of mine, so I can't really take credit for it. They were creating so much art that they couldn't take it home. And so they said, what do we do with this stuff that we don't want to take? And I'm like, well, we don't want to throw it away. So what do we do? And their idea was to sell it for, to bring donations back into the center so we can continue to make enrichment supplies and keep everything free for veterans and their family as long as we can.
This is fantastic. So am I hearing this right? The best way the community can support you is shopping at Rosie's Boutique, donating money, because don't we all want money?
Yeah.
And then do you have a way of doing sustaining donations, like monthly donations from people?
Yes, we actually have a Square account set up. So you can go in and donate through Square. Now, if anything that's donated through that, we do have a 3% upcharge that we get charged. So if the donor wants to cover any of that, that'd be greatly appreciated. And, other things, you can send a check. You can stop by and drop off cash. I mean, it's always spendable.
Money, just money flowing in.
Gift cards are always great for.
That's a good idea.
And
they should have money on them, though, right? You don't want just
not
like
the empty ones.
You don't want like 62-cent gift cards that are left over at the bottom of my purse.
Yeah,
well,
not those. Okay.
Those are good, but it takes a lot of them to get anywhere. It's kind of like the furniture. We want quality, not quantity.
Do you have any upcoming fundraisers? I know you got, at least I was there yesterday sitting around and there was chatter. There was a variety of chatter about different, so-and-so was selling so many tickets at this place. Like there was chatter.
Right. So we do. We actually have 2 events that are coming up. So the first event that I think everybody should know about is our open house. So on June 12th, it's a Sunday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. We're opening the doors to the community to come in and see what we have to offer for the veteran and the family. Just come check it out, hang out with us, learn how we can become better community partners together, and how we can better serve our veteran and our family members. So we're going to have a large crowd of motorcycle riders come in about 2 p.m. and then a small ceremony presentation on what we do here at VREC itself. And then on June 25th is our annual motorcycle. It's the Salute the Military Family Awareness Ride for motorcycling. And that will begin at Harley Davidson in Sauk Rapids. At 9 a.m., Harley's putting on a really, really nice breakfast. 10:30 will be registration. And then kickstands are going to be up at noon. And then we'll ride to Zimmerman, American Legion, Bedrock Bar and Grill, and end up at Clearwater, American Legion about 4 p.m., where we hope everybody else who doesn't ride and doesn't want to bring their car, because cars are welcome, to join us at Clearwater American Legion for silent auction and live auction items. So, and a lot of music, and there'll be military ceremonies along the way. We really want to do that tribute to not only the veteran, but maybe a family member that we've helped along the way, or that the community feels that we've helped, or that maybe needs a little bit of boosting up. So if any community members want to nominate somebody, they're welcome to do that.
That's fantastic.
I hate to wrap this up. Like I have a ton more questions, but we promise we keep these short and sweet.
Yes, short and sweet. But yes. I'm willing to bet that there's additional information available on your Facebook page.
Correct.
Awesome. So people can follow you at on Facebook at Veteran Resource, and you moved it. you put your hand over Veteran Resource. I was reading it and you moved it. Veteran Resource and Enrichment Center. You can also find them at VRECMN.com. And I'm willing to bet there's donation opportunities on both of those sources as well. It's been amazing talking with you, Kerri. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys very much. And it's really just to the community, get the word out that there is a place here for veterans and their family to come. And we invite the community to come join us. So thank you guys.
Fantastic. Thank you, Kerri.
Thank you so much for joining us today on If These Heels Could Talk. We hope we've enriched your life a little bit, expanded your mind just a tish, and maybe motivated you in a new and exciting direction.
And we'll see you at that motorcycle ride at the end of June.